My name is Nassim Sabs.
In our investigation, we discovered that some of Satan's soldiers are also high-ranking officers in the United States military. Here at San Francisco's Presidio Army Base, for example, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino led a double life as a satanic high priest. The colonel's cult is listed in the San Francisco telephone book, and his phone answering machine boasts of his affiliation.
This is the Temple of Set. The temple is the only international satanic religious institution fully recognized by the United States government.
Indeed, the Army does officially recognize Satanism as a legitimate religion and supplies chaplains with this guide for ministering to the satanic soldier. Yet unofficially, some charge that Army bases have become sanctuaries for devil worshippers.
Joseph, we've agreed to conceal your identity, but you are an officer in the United States Army.
That's correct.
And you were an officer in the United States Army during the time you were a member of this satanic organization.
Yes.
Did the authorities at the Presidio know that a satanic organization was active on their base during the time that you were a member?
They were very much aware of it, yes.
The present base commander, Colonel Rafferty, says that today, at least,
I know of no satanic activities whatsoever in this area.
Satanism may be a constitutionally protected religion, but similar to another recent case at the United States Military Academy at West Point, here charges surface connecting ritual child abuse at the Presidio Daycare Center to the devil cult. It was here parents and others allege that as many as 60 young children were ritualistically abused by soldiers of Satan.
You are no longer at the Presidio, you are now in St. Louis, but you are still a serving officer or colonel in the United States Army. Do you feel it is inconsistent with a high-ranking officer pledged, sworn, to uphold the Constitution of the United States that you are also a practicing Satanist?
Not in the least. The Army has known of my religion for the last 20 years. There has never been a problem with it, any more than there's a problem with other members of minority religions.
But let me read from the Satanic Bible. Quote, this is the number one, commandment. Death to the weakling, wealth to the strong. How can you believe this and still uphold the Constitution of the United States? Death to the weakling? Record. What is your feeling, sir, on the fact that a serving officer in the United States Army is also a professed Satanist, a high-ranking person?
Well, I think in this election year, we've heard a lot about values, Geraldo. We've heard a lot that our little children should be saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Mr. Aquino has identified himself as an antichrist. He preaches that as the leader of the Temple Set. I don't think I'm misquoting him. I find it inconceivable that we can have candidates talking about one nation under God and having our children say that, yet by the same token, we can have somebody in our Army as a colonel leading our troops in battle who are opposed to the very concept of God and whose whole purpose it is to fight against God.
Colonel Aquino, we note, sir, for the record, that you were originally implicated in the dreadful charges of child abuse. We note also that no charges were ever brought against you, and presumably you have been cleared. Would you like to comment on why those charges were brought against you?
Well, the entire time that the so-called child molestation scandal was occurring at the Presidio, the time period when these terrible events were supposedly taking place, I was assigned to the National Defense University in Washington, D.C., and my wife was out there living with me.
But is it not a fact that a 3.5-year-old girl identified you as the alleged perpetrator of molestation?
No, as a matter of fact, it is not the case. An accusation was made by her stepfather, who was an Army chaplain, speaking on behalf of this child. In her original interview with the FBI, she denied ever being molested.
Well, I've seen you are innocent until proven guilty. You were never charged in this case. I don't want to belabor the point. I have seen, however, the affidavits for the search warrant of your home, and they indicate the child is speaking to the authorities, not her father.
This was after she had been subjected to therapy.
let's say you are innocent of that. You are no longer at the Presidio, you are now in St. Louis, but you are still a serving officer or colonel in the United States Army. Do you feel it is inconsistent with a high-ranking officer sworn to uphold the Constitution of the United States that you are also a practicing Satanist?
Not in the least. The Army has known of my religion for the last 20 years. There has never been a problem with it, any more than there's a problem with other members of minority religion.
After World War II, United States military technology here, okay? By great leaps and bounds. Oh, okay. And it has never stopped. It has never stopped. So, according to the fake, lying, satanic, Luciferian, quote-unquote, mainstream news, and just in general, it looks like technology really isn't advancing so far, so fast. Not really. It looks like it's kind of, everything has kind of slowed down. It's like, no, this is fake. They're not releasing it. They're not telling you what they have. They're not showing it to you. And they won't until the war is upon you, and then all of the goodies are going to come out. Mark my words, it's going to happen. When the war happens, that's when you'll see all of the goodies come out. What do I mean goodies? All the tech, all the technology. Technology invented by Nazis, okay? The technological might of the United States military, the roots foundation of it is Nazi in origin. You have to understand this. You have to understand that. Please understand that. That all of this is connected. And all of this is focused on one very religious goal, okay? These people have a religious goal, okay? Their life goal is a religious one. And if you want to know exactly what it is, go to your search engine, look up Lucis Trust, Lucis Trust, United Nations, okay, and then after that type in Luciferian initiation. So, in the United Nations, this was a real true statement coming from the United Nations itself that says, worldwide, there will be a grand Luciferian initiation for all people, and it will be the only way for you to enter into the new age of the New World Order, and that all people across everywhere will have to undergo the Luciferian initiation in order to live in that world. This is coming from the devil. This is what they believe, okay? This is what they believe. It is the heart of madness. It is mad. It is insanity. It is insane. But this is what they believe, okay? What's the real truth of the matter? The real truth of the matter is, the more you worship the devil, the more and more dead you become until you are ultimately dead. That's it. There's no living life forever as God in the earth because you worship the devil. That is fake. That is lies. Worshiping the devil involves hating Jesus, involves hating God, involves hating the Holy Spirit, and involves hating the Father in heaven who sits on the throne in heaven. being a satanic Luciferian type of individual who is practicing and believing in that religion involves murdering innocent people, having innocent blood on your hands, because the murder of the most innocent of people is the highest sacrament of the satanic Luciferian religion. That is what it is. That is what it continues to be until God ends it. Once and for all, and he will.
Let me introduce you first, though, to Zena LaVey. Her father, Anton LaVey, is, I guess, the founding father of Satanism in this country. Founding it about 25 years ago, Zena?
Yeah, approximately 25 years.
Can you tell us with any certainty how widespread the religion of Satanism is in this country or around the world?
Well, the religion is worldwide. We have members just throughout the world, and it's a legitimate religion. It's perfectly within the. It's legal.
But how many people? Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands?
Hundreds of thousands, I can't say. Thousands, easily.
What is it, Dr. Aquino? Dr. Aquino?
Mr. Aquino has identified himself as an antichrist. He preaches that as the leader of the temple set. I don't think I'm misquoting him.
Okay, I was one of the Army's first space intelligence officers because they developed their space intelligence program at around 1990, and they were looking for strategic intelligence officers to go into it. And I was looking for some new adventures, and I said, okay, I'd like to go into space. So I went to the Army's Space Institute and became a 3Y skilled officer, which is their space activities designator. It was so new that the Institute didn't even have its own classes. They actually punted me to the Air Force, which had a joint space intelligence course that they ran in Colorado Springs at Peterson Air Force Base. And that's how I became qualified as a joint space intelligence officer. And after that, I was assigned to J2X at Headquarters U.S. Space Command at Peterson Air Force Base, which is the major headquarters that has sub-headquarters for NORAD, the North American Air Defense Command with Canada, and, of course, the command center there at Cheyenne Mountain. So I worked there from 1990 to 1994 as a J2X officer, and that was just prior to my retirement from active duty. I thought that was a kind of a good way to finish things off. A lot of the work that I did at Space Command was highly classified, above top secret at the compartmented level. The compartments, that I worked in were TK and MJ, and TK has talent kilo that has to do with the input from the entire satellite system that's up there. And MJ is just what you would think it is, which has to do with contingency planning, that has to do with extraterrestrial concepts. So that entire, if you're talking about X-Files, that's what J2X was involved with. And if you're talking about things like Majestic, that's what MJ was. And I was involved with that level of planning and that level of research. And there's entirely very, very active, thought that's going into both these areas. The scary thing was MK Naomi. That was the biological stuff. And nobody paid a whole lot of attention to that. But when I got into that, it made my blood run cold, because you're talking about the worst possible kinds of biological warfare that could be even conceived. And if your listeners, if they're not going to be scared enough by what I said earlier about nuclear bombs and the Tsar Bomba and stuff, tell them to go Google MK Naomi, Naomi, about the biological aspects that were carried out then in the MK series of stuff. And they'll be damn glad, that was shut down without a whole lot of comment at the same time that MK Ultra was shut down, because the whole series of MK stuff that the CIA was screwing around with was closed down at the time that it became a scandal out there in the Congress. But MK Naomi was the scary one, not MK Ultra.
Mr. Aquino has identified himself as an antichrist. He preaches that as the leader of the temple set. I don't think I'm misquoting him.